Hey everyone, welcome back. This is my review of Love Lab episode 8 entitled For the Wild One. Alright. After getting caught stalking Riko and Natsuo, Nana reveals that the newspaper club was demoted to a society by Sayori and runs off in tears after revealing Natsuo's and Riko's nicknames, with the latter taking the Wild One branding particularly hard. Back at the council room, Riko starts copying Natsuo's feminine characteristics in an attempt to avert her tomboyish personality, much to the disdain of her friends. Afterwards, the council receives more papers asking for love advice that were put out by Momoka and Nana. The next day, the Newspaper Society prepares a special article in an attempt to harass the student council into giving them back club status. Meanwhile, as the student council comes up with answers for the love questions, they remain at a loss on what the Newspaper Society's true angle is and decide to split up and gather information. Afterwards, Momoka gives Riko and company the harassment article, which questions the council's integrity. Meanwhile, Yuiko questions the former newspaper club advisor, Miss Sugihara, and learns that in 10 days there will be a newspaper contest which prohibits societies from entering. As Yuiko returns with his startling information, Sayori leaves for the day after having a meet-up with her boyfriend, leaving the remaining members to deal with the newspaper society. Riko and Natsuo eventually confront Momoka with the love questions and learn that the society wasn't trying to enter the contest after all. Meanwhile, on her way back from the photographing Momoka's little brother's baseball game, Nana stumbles on Sayori's meetup and takes pictures which she plans on using to blackmail Sayori. However, the next day at school, they are both caught and detained by Miss Sakagami, and Sayori decides to quit being a member of the council in order to protect her friends from the consequences of her illicit relationship. And that sums up what happened in this episode. So, let's get into the review now. There were two things that I had a problem with in this episode, and I'll get into them as I get into the review. But first off, let me list the things I liked. Of course, the animation was better in this episode than it is in most. It was not great, of course, because this is mainly a gag comedy. In fact, it's 100% a gag comedy. So, generally speaking, you can't expect the greatest animation ever, or even great animation, period. And sometimes not even good animation. But the animation in this episode was okay at points, although there were still like pure slideshow points. Even so. Alright, and of course the music still fits as well, all that general stuff. And it's still really funny as well. I have to keep mentioning that in every single one of my reviews of this anime. It's still really funny. Alright. So now let's get into the two complaints that I have for this episode. The first one has to do with when Nana calls Riko the Wild One. It's her reaction to it, basically. I'm not pissed because she reacted to it badly. I mean, that's fine. I'm not pissed that she got pissed off about it and hated it, because that's fine. The thing that bothered me was her straying away from her tomboyish personalities and acting girly for like 2 or 3 scenes. Well, parts of 2 or 3 scenes, anyways. That's the part that kind of got me. It made me want to punch her in the fucking face, and I just hated it. Alright. The second problem I had with this episode was at the very end of it now. This one's kind of half and half because I don't know how Japanese society works when it comes to this stuff. Alright? I know that they're a lot stricter than us about having relationships when you're involved in some important school club or something like that. I don't know if they completely forbid it altogether, or if they allow it but they just expect you to focus more time on the club than the relationship, or if it was completely made up by media, by fictional media. I don't know. But I'm just not used to something like that because it's not prominent at all in my society unless the parents decide to step in. And I mean, in terms of society in general, obviously, because I live in the U.S. So personally, I just didn't like it. Alright, I thought that the teacher could blow it out her ass. But I don't live in Japan. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, but anyways, overall, I did really like this episode. Those are just two of the two kind of stumbles I found in this episode, but it was still really good. So yeah, anyways, overall, hope you enjoyed this review, guys. See you after, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.